Hello, and thank you again for joining me on another episode of Worldwide Anonymous News, where I actually encourage you to send me, videos where you are the newscaster, you are sharing a story, and I'll quickly review it. And as long as it's not, ridiculous, as long as we're trying to be unbiased in our reporting and sharing a relevant story and not, you know what I mean, I will throw it up on the channel. So that's the goal with this whole channel, is to have multiple journalists throughout the entire planet sharing what is happening, without any sort of bias, to our best ability, without any sort of influence or agenda. Okay, so on today's story, this is the Joe Rogan CNN saga. So, to give you a little bit of background, Joe Rogan had COVID. I guess it may have been 2 months ago. It's maybe a month ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And he, as in his words, threw the kitchen sink at it. So he took a lot of different therapies for this. One of them was ivermectin. Now CNN, went after him, because I'm not going to even, guess as to why. I know why, but I'm not sharing that here. But they tried to make Joe Rogan to look like a fool, and basically said, this is paraphrasing, and basically said that he's taking horse dewormer. Okay, so ivermectin is used as a horse dewormer when it is, prescribed for horses. But when it was prescribed for Joe Rogan, it was used, for prescribed for humans. Right, so he took offense to this. He had Dr. Sanjay Gupta on his show. You can look it up on the Joe Rogan show. I'm not here to give you, 30 minutes of Joe Rogan clips. Um, And so he held Dr. Sanjay Gupta's feet to the fire, essentially, and said, "Hey, why is CNN lying about me?" So on and so forth. Dr. Sanjay Gupta sort of admitted to it, said they should have never done that. This is all paraphrasing, okay? And I'm not taking a stance. I'm just sharing the story to the best of my ability, not trying to slam or slander anybody. So I do make mistakes. Okay, so now at that point, from there, one of CNN's newscasters, Don Lemon, had Dr. Sanjay Gupta to talk about this situation, and basically said, no, CNN never lied, and whether they did or not, is not up to me. You look into it and find out, see what you think. And about the horse dewormer story. Okay, and then Joe Rogan caught wind of this, and so who knows how long this will go. It's kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, it's very actually important, because there is stuff that is happening here, that we all should be made aware of, or should be aware of. Okay, and I want you to do your own research and come to those conclusions on your own. But let's see here what Joe Rogan had to say in response to Don Lemon having Dr. Sanjay Gupta on his show, or interviewing him, and basically saying they did not lie about the horse deworming, story. So here we go.
Now, I do not know what the motivation for demonizing this particular medication is. Again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, but I would imagine
That medication he's talking about is ivermectin.
some of it has to do with money. The reason being is that it is a generic drug now. The patent has run out, so anybody can make it, and it's worth like 30 cents a dose. Now, Merck has its own antiviral that's supposed to do the same thing that they claim ivermectin does, as does Pfizer. They're both about to release it. I don't know if that's why the FDA is making snarky tweets about it being veterinary medicine, but I do know that it was used for humans for fucking years before they ever started using it for animals. And I also do know that there's a massive amount of medications that have veterinary applications, including penicillin.
Well, Joe, it's like me calling Child Protective Services because my neighbor was feeding her baby cat food, and by cat food I mean milk.
Yeah,
it's insane. Like,
it's insane.
Dogs take Xanax and all these other things. So it's
Wait a minute, dogs take Xanax?
Yeah,
People have like anxiety-ridden dogs?
of course.
I guarantee it's the person.
Or cats. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
come over
yeah.
to my house. My dog just lays
I
down.
know.
Lets you
I
rub
met
his
Marshall.
belly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a sweet. He doesn't need Xanax.
because he's fucking.
He's a dog. He's happy.
chill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Actually, some people get rescue dogs. I should take that back because
sure.
I did have a dog that had anxiety because I got her when she was 2.
Or
and she was a
maybe
little.
it's an older dog gets a puppy and the dog doesn't know what to do. Yeah, there's situations, whatever.
Yeah, that could. They
Yeah.
think they're. Yeah, that could.
But I don't think it's necessarily about the money so much. It's about obedience, because
Mhm.
they're the ones who are promulgating how everyone has to act. And then you have this guy from Austin over here, this comedian, telling people there was another way and the science isn't as settled. And all of a sudden, their sense of authority is diminished, because when you have choices, that means that person who wants to be the one to go to no longer is the one who has all the answers.
Well, this is what is so funny about that. They don't understand that when they say things that are absolutely untrue, it diminishes their authority. They're not even aware of what they're doing. Like
But they
when
don't have an alternative.
when Don Lemon goes on
saw that
with
lie?
Sanjay
Yeah.
Gupta and says, actually, it really is a veterinary medicine. It really
No,
is
but
for
that's not what
deworming
this
horses.
this was the lie. He goes, it's not a lie to say it's also used as horse medicine. He goes,
That's not what you said.
Yeah, that's not what you said. You didn't say
Yeah.
this drug, which also is used for horses. Of what relevance is that?
It doesn't have any relevance. Exactly what you're talking about with penicillin and with like a gigantic number of medicines that also have veterinary
course.
applications. But by doing that, you just prove my point. They don't even understand what they just did. You think no one's like it's going to end with you? See, because it used to be that way. They would say something and no one would have recourse.
Do you know what this
But
is?
when you're
Yeah.
saying something and then the person you're saying it about has literally 10 times the audience you do, you dumb motherfucker. Do you know what you did? You just proved my point.
Okay. And so I got this obviously from this show here. Now, let's see if I can move this. I can't. But, and so, and I'm not going to point you to this channel as far as a trusted news source because I just heard about them today. All right. So I don't really know anything about them. And so, but it doesn't matter what I have to say anyways. I always want you to do your own research. This is just sharing with you a story about Joe Rogan, right? And so with that being said, I mean, basically, we'll see where this story goes on, but if you're watching the world, if you're watching what's happening with this COVID thing, if you're watching what's happening with vaccines, if you're watching what's happening with alternative therapies, then this story is relevant. And I would encourage you, all of those, do a lot of research on COVID, do a lot of research on what the death rate is. You can see the first video that I dropped here gives you that, as that was about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. Do a lot of research on vaccines, okay? And do a lot of research on alternate therapies, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, so on and so forth, okay? Why? Just it's good to be informed. It's good. You can't really make a decision on your own unless you're informed, right? So that's it for today. Thank you very much. Please, if you have any sort of news story that you want to share, drop a message, drop a comment, and I will put my, I'll respond with my email, or I may ask you for your email at that point. Okay, and we'll get your story up on the channel as long as it sort of fits the guidelines, which is like ultimately being respectful to all races and people throughout the face of the earth. Just respect, right, and sharing the truth as far as we can tell, sharing a story that is possibly very relevant. Okay, thank you very much again for watching the Worldwide Anonymous News. Bye. Worldwide Anonymous News.